Hi and welcome back to the channel on our continuing voyage to become better blues players. My name's Mark and in this video we're going to look at more licks to play over a slow blues in the key of C. So the way the lesson's going to work is you're going to see me play an example solo using, I think it's about 10 licks, 10 licks over a slow blues in the key of C to kind of show you some licks and how to approach playing over a slow blues. Then we'll come back on the other side and I'll pull all the licks apart and show you them one by one. So here's the example. So that was the example there, and what I'll do now is I'll pull the licks apart and show you them one by one, show you where all the notes come from and that kind of thing. Should say, if you want a copy of the tab, please send me an email asking for more slow blues licks. Details are in the description below. There's a backing track is available as well. It's the same backing track I used for the Clapton slow blues licks I did about a month or so ago. So again, details in the description below so you can check that out. For Patreon supporters, as usual, there's going to be a version of the example that you've just seen, slowed down 3/4 speed with tab on screen. So what I'll do now is I'll put tab on screen, I'll show you all the licks and go through them one by one. Okay, if you haven't done so already, please remember to subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this and be notified, hit the bell so that you get told when I'm doing more of these kind of blues lessons. Okay, so lick one goes like this. Okay, and what we're doing is we're starting 12th fret on the G string, slide up to 14, then hit 13 on the B string. So you get this. Back to 14 on the G, back to 13 on the B again. And then what we do is grab 15, bend it up a whole tone and hold it. Okay, interesting thing or important thing to note about this lick and actually the next two that follow. That 13 on the B string, that's your root note. Okay, so that's what we're targeting. That's the note that's going to sound best and most kind of comfortable when you play it over a blues in C. So we're kind of targeting playing around that. So nice and slow. And that last note that we're bending up, what we're doing is we're grabbing the second and bending it to a major third. The major third being an E flat, being an E, and E is the third of the chord of C. If I play a C7 like that, that note there, that's the third, that's an E. That's the note we're targeting, but an octave up here. Okay, so that's why we're aiming for that note. Okay, so that was lick one. Lick two now starts the same way, but then goes a little different. Okay, so the underlying chord progression has changed. We're now playing an F. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing, but instead of targeting the E, which was the third of C, we're now going to target F because that's the fourth chord. If you don't understand any of that theory, don't worry about it. Just learn the lick. The lick goes like this. Again, we start 12 to 14 slide on the G string, grab 13 on the B string, 14 on the G, back to 13 on the B string. So same as lick one, and I'll do that for you. It goes like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab at the 16th fret and bend it up a whole tone. because that's an F. That's the note you're targeting because the underlying chord is an F. We're going to hold that just for one beat and then lower it down back to 16 on the B string. The reason why we're ending on 16 on the B string is because that is an E flat, which is the flat 7th of F. So if you imagine an F chord, the note there, that's an E flat. Okay, so that's why we're targeting that. Again, if you don't want to know the theory or that's passing you by, don't worry about it. Just know that the lick goes like this. Here it is, nice and slow. Okay, and then we end this little part of the solo with this phrase. So this is lick 3. Okay, and this is a real kind of BB King phrase. What we're doing is we're starting 13 on the B string, which is our root, grabbing 15 on the B string, bending it slightly sharp, and then coming off playing 13 on the B string again twice. So nice and slow. Okay, and that 15 where you're bending it slightly, how much you bend that, it's entirely up to you. You can make it dirty, you can make it quite sweet. It's kind of up to you how much you do that. It's a feel thing. You'll notice, I think in the performance, I played that really gentle and like actually just picked it very lightly as well, to pull some dynamics from the other licks that are going on there. It's one thing that you might want to do in your blues is just have phrases that you kind of pick hard and loud, and then phrases which is kind of soft and gentle. And I'm pretty sure I did that one on the kind of soft and gentle side. Okay, so that was lick 3. Lick 4 now goes like this. And this is a real BB King lick. In fact, it's a variation on a lick I stole from Live at the Regal, Sweet Little Angel. BB King actually plays it like this. I kind of expanded it a little bit to this. Okay, anyway, I'll take you through the notes. If you want to visualize the notes, think of being back in C minor pentatonic now for this one, because that's basically what we're doing. We're walking down a C minor pentatonic, but with just one note difference. So we're going to start 11th on the B string, bend that up a whole tone, and then grab 8 at the top E. And then we're just going to walk down our minor pentatonic. So 11 to 8 on the B, 10 to 8 on the G, 10 on the D string. And then this is where the twist comes in. We're going to go back and play 7 on the G string to 10 twice on the D string. So the whole lick, nice and slow. Okay, so that was lick 4. Lick 5 now goes like this. And we're starting 8 on the B string, hammer onto 10, and then grab 8 at the top E string. Okay, nice and slow. Back to 8 on the B string. Before 11, slide to 13 on the B string and hold that. Give her a nice little shake before grabbing 11 on the top E string and bending it slightly sharp and making it kind of short and spiky. Okay, whole lick nice and slow. Okay, and there's two ways of looking at that note, that 10th on the B string, because you probably notice that's not in the minor pentatonic. It's in the C major pentatonic, so you could think of it that way. I probably was just thinking of it as the top of an F chord. So if you think of an F chord barred here, there. So if you think like the A shape brought all the way up, or an F7, if we play it like this. I'm just thinking of the top of that F chord. So that's where that note comes from, 10 on the B string. Okay, yeah, that's kind of why I pull that note out. Technically, it's in the key of C major, so that's kind of what was C major pentatonic, that's why it's going to work. Anyway, if you're interested, that's where that came from, because you probably noticed it wasn't in the C minor pentatonic scale. And most of my licks are usually in minor pentatonic. Okay, that was lick 5. Lick 6 now goes like this. I got a bit carried away and changed my pickup selector, never mind. Okay, so what we've got is we've got one repeating phrase that you play 3 times, and then the 4th time you play it slightly different. I think I might have used this one in the ZZ Top Blue Jean Blues lesson. I'm sure I've played this lick once before on my channel, but if you haven't seen it before, this is how it goes. You'd start 13 on the top E string, bend it up a whole tone, come back to 13. So that part goes like this. Off to 11 to 13, all on the top E. So the whole little phrase, nice and slow. Now, what I'm doing is I'm actually raking through those to get to the top E string. So I'm resting my hand on the strings and just running through those strings to get to that top E string. You can do that, or you can just play it straight, entirely up to you. But I kind of rake through it. Okay, so basically you play that phrase 3 times. Then what I do is play it again, but when I bend the 13 up to the 15, hold it for what sounds like probably longer than I probably should. And then come off to play 11 on the top E to 13 on the B. Okay, so the 4th time we get this. And, you know, while you're bending it, give it a shake as well. So you basically got that first lick 3 times, and then the 4th time we do it slightly different. So I'll play the whole thing for you nice and slow. Okay, and those initial hits, where you're bending the 13 up to the 15, each one of those is on the beat. So if you listen to the drums, if you want to get the time right, listen to the drums, and each time you get the beat, that's where you're hitting. Okay, so then that was lick 6. Lick 7 then goes like this. Okay, so nice and slow. Back into minor pentatonic, we're grabbing 11 on the B string, bend it up a whole tone, grab top E at the 8th fret. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go 11 on the B string, off to 8 on the B string, to 11 slide up to 13. And you hold that and shake it. Put it all together, this is what it sounds like. Okay, and up to speed. Okay, and you can kind of snatch at it as much as you like to put a bit more feel into there. Okay, so that was lick 7. Lick 8 now is probably the hardest lick in the whole solo. It comes in, I think it's 2, maybe 3 beats before we hit the 5 chord, before the chord progression goes to G. What we're doing is we're basically taking a long major pentatonic run up to hit this note here, which is the G on the the 8th fret of the B string. That's our target note. We want to land there. We're actually play this. It's actually bending 11 on the B, coming off to 8 on the B. We want to get to that part when the underlying chord progression has hit the E chord. When I played the solo, this is kind of just what I played, and afterwards I thought, oh, that's going to be difficult to teach because the timing's a little tricky. Basically, when you come out of lick 7, you're going to wait, I think it's like 1 or maybe 2 beats before you then start this run. Anyway, the run you can think of either as A minor pentatonic or C major pentatonic, they are the same scale. Well, no, they're different scales. They are the same notes in the scale. But basically, the phrase, I'll do it nice and slow. It goes like this. Okay, and the run part of it is basically the same rhythm for two play twice. Once here, and then once here. See, they kind of sound similar, even though they're in different places. Anyway, the actual notes, sliding into 7 on the D string. And then what we do is we hold down the 5th fret of the G string with our index finger, hammer on and pull off to 7. Okay, so far we've got this. Back to 7 on the D, back to 5 on the G. Okay, so that whole phrase that we played so far goes like this. Okay, and you're basically going to need to practice getting that up to speed. Okay, once you can do it kind of like that, you've mastered that part. Now you're going to do the same thing, but in a slightly different position, which requires a slightly different fingering. We're going to slide, we're on the G string, sliding into 9. And then we're going to do our hammer on and pull off on the B string now, using 8 to 10. So sliding into 9 on the G. Hold down 8 with your index finger and hammer on and pull off with 10. Okay, so let's put those two together. Back to 9 on the G string, back to 8 on the B string. So put both phrases together nice and slow. Okay, and that's kind of where you want to get to as the chord progressions then change into the E, because then what we're going to do is we're going to grab 11 on the B, bend it slightly sharp before coming off to 8 on the B string. Okay, so everything we've got so far for lick 8 goes like this. And we're holding that note because that's a G, the underlying chord progression has gone to a G, so that note is the one that's going to sound strongest. We then end the phrase just before we change chord again with this. We're going to play 8 again, 11 bend up slightly sharp, and then 8 on the top E string. So 8 on the G to 11 on the G, sorry, not G, B. 8 on the G, 8 on the B string, 11 on the B string, bend slightly sharp. 8 on the top E. And that's how we end the phrase. So, a whole of lick 8 all together. Now, if you can't play it up to speed, actually, even at that speed, it sounds quite nice. Wouldn't work over this backing track. You'd have to kind of rejig things around. But yeah, it's a nice lick in its own right. Okay, so then we come to lick 9, which is a whole bunch of double stops. So that goes like this. I'll be honest, I have no idea where this lick came from. I was just jamming over this, trying to put the lesson together. And when it got to this, I just thought, oh, I'll do double stops. And I played that. And I've never played that lick before. I don't know where it came from. But I thought it sounds quite nice. I was quite pleased with that one. So anyway, enough bragging. What I'm going to do is we start E and B string at the 8th fret. You play those two together. But what you do is you immediately hammer onto 10 on the B string, trying to leave the E string ringing out. So you get this. Okay. And then back to 8 on the B and E string. So far we've got this. And then 10 on the G string, back to 8 on the top E and B. So far we've got this. Then what we're going to do is G string 10 to 8, like this. Then what we're going to do is G string and B string together now, 10 to 8 for both of those strings, then 10 on the D string. Okay, so let me try and take you through what we've got so far, nice and slow. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to do 8 on the B and G string, back to 10 on the D string. Then what we're going to do is hammer on from 8 to 10 on the D string, before grabbing 8 at the top E and B string, pick it and slide off. Okay, that's, again, like lick 8, lick 9 is quite a lot to take in. I'll try and do it nice and slow. The important thing with this is you've got to try and feel the beat. So if you feel where that pulse is from the backing track. So it's quite kind of difficult to do it slow and carefully like this, but I'll try. Okay, I'll try and do it one more time, see how this feels. I think that was okay. I may have dropped one note in there, but you get the feel for it anyway. Takes a bit of practice to get it up with all those double stops, but yeah, I quite liked it. Anyway, so then we're on to lick 10, and don't worry, you can take a bit of a breather now because there's a bit of a gap between lick 9 and lick 10. Lick 10 comes in over the C chord to G chord, right at the end of the solo. There's a bit of a breathing space between lick 9 and lick 10. Lick 10 is quite easy. What we're going to do is we're going to do a series of double stop slides, and we're playing the G string and the B string together, and we're sliding in 12 on the G string and 11 on the B string. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to slide in and then hit it 2 more times, and then slide in and hit it 2 more times, and you do that whole, so you do this basically. Slide, so hit it to slide in and then hit it 2 more times, so you get 3 hits. You're going to do that on each beat of the bar, so you're going to do this 4 times. And then what you're going to do is you're going to play 11 on the B string, hammer on to 13 on the B string. That hammer on's like immediate, so you get this. So those double stops, you can count them in your head, and it basically goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, and you just get that pulse, that triplet pulse before hitting that hammer on at the end. So the whole of lick 10 again goes like this. And that's the solo. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my other videos. I've got loads of blues videos like this. Make sure you subscribe. Please drop me some comments. Tell me if you like the video, if these lessons are helpful, if there's anything I can add to the lessons that can make them more helpful. Please consider becoming a Patreon supporter, and I will see you again.